this month has been off the charts, like, yeah, that way. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. I can see every minute. Okay, so it says it's just setting up the meeting for live.
We are live.
Yay! I don't see that right now, but hi, Ian. How are you? Let me go back to my Zoom. There we go. Thanks for joining me, Ian Delaney, all the way from the Big Smoke in Dublin.
Hello, everybody.
How are you this evening?
Oh, super, yeah, really good.
Yeah. Well, I'm delighted you could join me here. I've been an avid admirer of your work now for quite a few months when I discovered your work online. When I moved back from South Africa, I moved to live by the sea in Galway because to me, my soul is just at home and happy when I'm by the sea. And then to find your artwork with all these magnificent sea and ocean, the ocean and the wave, just like behind you there. I presume that's one of your paintings.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, that was.
No one else's artwork allowed in the house, anyway.
Well, that's actually technically incorrect. I do have originals from other artists. Like,
oh, lovely.
This one behind me was claimed by my wife, Amanda, and she says, "You're never selling that. That's mine."
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so when I could see your artwork, and you can tell me a bit more about them, it just took my breath away because it's so realistic. I actually had to look and see, is that really a painting when I first saw? Like, I mean, and that's such a compliment to you.
I take that as an immense compliment.
Oh, I mean, your artwork brings me so much joy, I have to say. And thank you for rediscovering your gift.
Yes, it has been great.
Yeah. So tell us, Ian, right? So a few questions, and then feel free to tell me anything, because I'm always full of questions. I'm very nosy.
I will answer them if I can.
Yeah. Were you artistic? You've got this gift, this wonderful gift. Did you use your art, and were you like creative in this way as a child growing up?
Yeah, I probably would have done quite a lot of drawing in my younger days.
Right.
And I remember in 6th class, I was entered into a credit union art competition, and I think I won a prize. So I was only quite young, and I think I got 2nd place or something like that. And that was the first time I remember my art being like on the radar. But as a kid, it was just, obviously to me, it was just drawing and doodling, so to speak. Like, and that continued on through my early teens. But it was probably when I hit about 13 or 14 that I really started to commit want to do a huge amount of time to creating, and I started drawing, then I started doing pen and ink drawings, and then I started dabbling with different mediums, and then by the time I probably hit about 14 or 15, I was starting to paint, and I just loved it. And then I just couldn't stop. I was just doing it morning, noon, and as soon as I was finished in school, I'd be straight back home, and I'd want to create, and I'd want to paint. And I had friends that were artists as well, so that was great. Because we were able then to encourage each other, and you had somebody to show your work to, and that kind of led to more. And it was kind of that was my teenage years, without doubt, was creating. And by the time I hit then my kind of late teens and was leaving school, I got a place in art college.
Right.
And I actually had harbored these dreams of being a professional artist, and it was something that I really kind of wanted to do, or could see myself doing. But the things that I used to paint probably would have been maybe palatable to people, in terms of, like, I did a lot of dragons and warriors and things like that. And I remember the lady who was interviewing me in the art college when I was applying for the place. She said, "You won't be able to paint that stuff in here." And it was almost like she dismissed my entire portfolio in one fell swoop, and the knock to my confidence in an already, for a teenager that had a, lack of confidence as it is when you're grown at that time, it just seemed to take the wind out of my sails a little bit. And I ended up turning down the place in art college, even though I still love painting, I still loved creating. it kind of stepped me back a little bit, like,
Yeah, well, it's very personal, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much, like, yeah.
Wow, gosh. So
Yeah.
you didn't take that place, you went on to do something
No,
else.
I
And
turned
did
it
you,
down and I got a job. Yeah.
yeah, in the
Yeah,
real
and
world?
the real world, like, yeah, but I continued to paint, and I continued
Okay.
to draw, and I got contacted by a hero of mine, an Irish artist by the name of Jim Fitzpatrick, and my old art teacher in secondary school. I kept in touch with her, and she encouraged me to send off my work to this gentleman, and he replied back to me, and I'll never forget it. And he did say the standard that I was painting at for my age was incredible, which was like I was
Wow.
bowled over by such a compliment from a hero.
Yeah.
But I think by the time I hit my early 20s, 21, 22, I think I was, that's when the brakes started to come on, like, and the paintbrushes started getting put down at that point,
Yeah, I guess, that was like party season, the 20s.
Yeah,
That was like the roaring 20s, the roaring 20s.
that was exactly it, because
Yeah.
like
It's more
I had
important things to do.
yeah, I had committed so much time in my teenage years, and I had done so much painting over that time, that all of a sudden I discovered socializing, and I discovered alcohol,
Yeah.
and unfortunately that kind of seemed to take over, and the paintbrushes and the pictures were left behind, that way. So that was the beginning of stopping, and it was mad, because for many years after, and I didn't paint, for years after that. It was something like a gap of about 17 years from
Wow.
one painting to the next one. And it was, I tried loads of time, and I used to take out my old paintings and I'd show Amanda, I'd show family and friends, and say, this is what I used to be able to do, and this is what I could create. And I'd look back at them and go, wow, I'd love to be able to do that again. And I used to take out the artboard and the pencils, and I tried so many times to get back to it, but it was gone. I just didn't feel it anymore, and had so many failed attempts, that I just thought to myself that that's it. It was something from my past. It was something I was
Right.
really good at in my younger days, but it's gone now. Like, and that's how it felt.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Mm.
Gee. And when obviously we were all very sidetracked in our 20s. You're not alone, so don't feel guilty. But did you feel a loss at not doing your art? That's your creative gift. Did you, or were you just too sidetracked,
I was
really?
too sidetracked. I didn't
Yeah.
like I was disappointed when I would make attempts to come
Mm,
back and fail, I would have been disappointed. Uh,
yeah.
but as I said, I'd quickly move on. There was life was busy. I was starting
Yeah.
family at that stage already. I was working constantly. Myself and Amanda had bought a house, like, so, we were
Yeah.
working around the clock to pay for mortgages and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
you know,
art is something that takes time. Any
artists
creative interest, it takes time and that headspace.
and the
And that's what I was going to come on to as well with you, because I've been talking about this week, about the importance of creating and making that time for a headspace, for whatever creative flair or flow that we do have, for
yeah.
our well-being, because for our mental and emotional health, I think it's vital. And I know for me, I'm not creative in the artistic sense, but I did discover a creativity that I never knew existed when I started running. And
Oh, yes, yeah.
it's like I'm sure, like you have for your art, it's like you become a channel. And I would write poetry and I would have all of these things, like
Wow.
for my work, that just come through me, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? And
Yeah.
it's the most incredible feeling of being in that state of awe and flow. And
Because
so, yeah.
probably doing something that you love, and that's what it is, like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're relaxed and doing something that you love, it just flows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how and I have a funny feeling your wife Amanda will have a little part to play in this, but where or at what point did you rediscover, because you said you had a lot of frustration that your art, you felt it just wasn't there. At
Yeah.
what point, being now a big grown-up man, a full adult, at what point did you try, or, you know, tell me about that.
Well, it was a pretty specific moment.
Oh.
And we were on, and it had been quite many years since I'd actually made the last attempt, so to speak. And out of nowhere, we were on holidays with my young kids and Amanda, and we were sitting around the kitchen table, and the kids were drawn and I was drawn, right? Just doodling little things on the paper. And I remember just getting immersed and drawn this dragon. And I must have spent probably about 40 minutes at it. And when I'd finished, it was just, the kids were like, wow, Dad, you can do that. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to do another one? Like, and they were like, yeah, do one for me, please. Do one for me. And it literally was like something was just reignited again. And it was just an absolutely, I'll never forget. It was beautiful to go, wow, you can still do it. Like, you still can do it. And when we came home, I took out all the old paintbrushes and I did my first painting. And it was just like a fire had been lit in my belly again. And I was incredibly proud of it. When I look back at it now, I would say like that it's almost amateurish in its appearance, you know, from where I progressed to now, but it's a painting that has a huge amount of meaning to me, because it was like the return.
What was it? What was the painting?
Painting was actually, it was a painting of a dragon in a forest, and two of my children were in it. I painted Sam and Charlie in it, and it actually hangs up in my sitting room to this day, and I'll probably never take it down, even though I'll paint much greater masterpieces than that. But it's just so significant in the reawakening of my passion again. And thereafter that, like for the next few years, then I was just painting. I would actually not commit. I didn't have a huge amount of time to commit to it. So I would be quite infrequent with what I painted, and I was also stumbling from one thing to the next, you know, because I paint a huge variety of different. Probably a lot of artists might actually resonate with this. They didn't know what their niche was, like, you know. So I began painting dragons because that's what I had painted in my past, but I found I didn't have the same enjoyment for them. And then I would paint imaginary landscapes, and then I would jump to animals, and I was painting anything and everything. And I was trying, almost searching for what was it that I wanted where was my niche is maybe the wrong word for it, but where I was going to fit, like. And all the while, at the same time, after a few years, Amanda was saying the world needs to see these, and of course I didn't really want to show anybody, because I was just happy to be painting, and the thoughts of actually showing them out there to the world was a scary thing. No, she led me then to, or pushed me, I should say, to go on to exhibit on the railings of Stephen's Green, which was the first time ever displaying my paintings. Like, and that was, I didn't sell a single one on the railings that day, but from that weekend, I think I sold my first 3 paintings, and it was the first time I'd ever sold a painting before. So it was like, wow, somebody actually wants to buy one, like, you know.
Wow.
It was a pretty incredible feeling, like. And it really kind of began to snowball from there, and I then was to the point of, okay, I am really loving this. I am so fulfilled. My heart is bursting with joy to be back creating again. So how am I going to be able to find more time to do this? Like, that was the biggest challenge, like. And that's when I came to a couple of decisions that were pretty important in my life, you know. And that was get rid of alcohol.
Yes.
Get rid of watching rubbish on the TV, like, you know, because when I look back on my week, I would see that that was where I was actually spending quite a bit of time. My weekend would be taken over by alcohol, and nothing kills my creative streak more than that. And then during the week, sometimes in the evenings, was taken up by watching complete rubbish on the TV. So I said, no, that's not going to be me anymore. I am going to commit my time to what I really love doing and what I want to do. And that really kind of changed things again. And then I also I also had another massive moment, and again it involved my wife, because we're so intertwined in our lives. And Amanda said to me, "You're painting these imaginary landscapes and nobody knows where they are. Like, so why don't you paint somewhere that people actually know, a real place?" And it was put to me that way, and I kind of said to myself, well, if I do that, I'm going to have to look at photographs to get references, to be able to get the dimensions and so on of these places. And I always had it in my head that if I painted from photographs, I'd be cheating, and I kind of questioned myself and goes, why do I think this? And what is that? Is that belief actually benefiting me, or is it holding me back? And I realized then that that's actually holding me back. So I then started I painted my very first place, which was the Cliffs of Moher. And I used a photograph to get to the dimensions correct on it, and then realized that, look, it's actually nothing, because you can do your own sea, and you can paint your own sky, and you can paint your own shadows and sun and all that kind of stuff. And I think within 24 hours, a lady from Pennsylvania in America contacted me to say she wants to buy it. And it was just like, wow. And then from that point on, I began to paint places that people recognized. I instantly realized that was where my gift and my ability was really leading me towards. And that was to be a painter of places. And I loved it, and I just fell in love with it. And then people then fell in love with the paintings, because they were usually places that they recognized, or people would have a memory of. And it was just, I haven't looked back since, to be honest with you. It's just been incredible.
Because then there's emotion attached to
it.
There's for sure. I love that painting of the Cliffs of Moher. And then you've got, is it called Keem Bay?
No, you can't Ackle. Yes,
And out the west here, where I am, there's some the most stunning scenery. So do you generally, or does it vary whether you go by photographs, or do you ever go in person and spend a few hours, take it all in, and then and photograph while you're there and go home, or does it just depend?
Yeah, a mixture of both. Like, I have painted from photographs that I've taken. And I would definitely, like, we spend a lot of time in nature anyway, and without a shadow of a doubt, like, inspiration comes from being out, whether it's by the sea or whether it's in the forest or up in the mountains. Definitely channel inspiration from nature without a shadow of a doubt. But like, people will often it's the first thing that there's two questions that people always ask you, reoccurring over and over again, and one of them is, how long did that take you to paint? Which is a common one. But another one is, where do you get your inspiration from? And, without a shadow of a doubt, my instant reply is, I live in Ireland. And if you live in Ireland, there are 10 million beautiful places to paint in this country. So you're never short of inspiration or finding things to paint. And that has been, without I can't actually remember having what you maybe call artist block, like, where I've struggled, for weeks or months at a time, not to find something to paint, because there's just constant flow of inspiration coming from seeing places around this country. Like, so not often. I have visited quite a few of the places, but not all of them have I actually physically been to.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Very good. And I was actually going to say there, one of my questions was how you get your inspiration. And I know that you guys, also love running. So you spend a lot of time out in nature, and you've got a great appreciation for that. And that obviously,
not where my talent lies now, I have to say. I run, and that's about it. I'm certainly not gifted in that department. I always say I feel like
All it means is one leg in front of the other. There's no great talent there.
I feel like a sack of spuds running around the Dublin mountain sometimes, but anyway.
Yeah, and so that obviously gives you that creative space as well, because you need silence to be able to hear and to access that point of creativity. And I was also going to just say there, I was just thinking, I wonder, is it because when you sat down with your children at the table and it came back to you, maybe it's because you weren't trying?
Yes, could quite possibly be actually, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
when you're
very natural, like it wasn't a decision.
there you go.
You know,
Yeah,
it wasn't like I'm going to sit down here and
yeah,
rekindle this art career. There
yeah,
was nothing like that at all. It was just something completely natural, like with a
yeah.
pen, with a biro. Actually, I think I was drawing that,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was
And that's,
just
I suppose that's how I find a lot of, well, from my point of view anyway, is a lot of our creativity, when the more we do try and control something or force something, it actually creates a block, because then you're using your logical thinking brain rather than your creative
yeah,
space, right?
very much.
So yeah, so when it comes to creativity, we need to create space. And are you
Clean my
trying to clean
camera,
me?
sorry.
Cleaning my
I
face.
think I've got a little bit blurry, but anyway.
Well, you're fine this side.
Ah, good.
Yeah, so it's creating that space. And so another of my questions was, what stifles that flow now? You had obviously said, alcohol, for example, which,
Yeah, without a doubt.
a lot of things in our lives if we allow it,
It is. It did have such like, and I had great. I've had great memories of and my socializing days were very fun, but it is definitely a block to your creativity and to your creative flow, like, because I like I don't think I've had a drink now in nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
And getting up at 6 o'clock on a Saturday or Sunday morning, fresh as a daisy, and just wanting to wake up and feel the day, and like often I'm starting painting by about 6:15, 6:30 in the morning. I love the early morning when it's quiet and there's so much peace, and it's definitely some of my best creations and some of my best times come at that very early morning. But alcohol used to deprive me of that, because you're obviously not feeling fresh at all. So that's kind of said, no, I'm going to leave that one in the past as well.
Yeah. So you were talking about mindfulness, then you were in that, well, you made that conscious decision and you were mindful of, I have this gift, and where am I using my time? I need to relook, and I'm going to be proactive and make a decision, because a lot of us tend not to be even aware, and we don't get to do what we want. But when we become mindful and look at how we're using our time and with whom and what we're doing, and making those small changes can actually have such a profound impact on your life, right?
It can be huge, because find the things that you really enjoy and really love doing and do more of it. And that's,
it's as simple as that, right?
It is really that simple, because you've got to look at it and say, where can I get more time to do these things that I love? And I'd always encourage as many people as possible to take up the things, whether it's reading or writing or poetry or running, or painting, whatever it is that you really, really enjoy doing. Spend more time with it, and really immerse yourself in it, because I have seen so many times, and heard so many stories of people over the years that, when they come to retirement age and they finally come to sit down, they realize that they don't have things to do, or they don't have things to enjoy, or they don't have goals, or they don't have things that fulfill them. And when you hear that horrible thing where somebody dies the year after they've retired, like just when that you're supposed to. I have an excellent role model in my father, who retired at the age of 60, and he's 87 years of age now, and he absolutely loves life. And he had a zillion. He painted, he fished, he made beer, he made all kinds of things, like, you know, that way. He had a zillion hobbies,
Yes.
probably many hobbies, and he had so many pastimes, and he loved them all. And he often says to me that life began again when he retired. You know, life began again at 60 when he retired, because he finally had the time to do the things that he really loved to do. So it's hugely important. Yeah.
Hugely. And and trying to not also to wait, that if you can make the time, and also to try, I guess, to try things that maybe we don't realize we're creative at, or that, you know, we don't, you know, we haven't even tried yet, that we might love, even if we're not really good at it.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
I would have never said, like, and for all I laugh and say I'm not a natural runner. I really do enjoy running around the mountains, like, and I really do enjoy being out with fresh, you know, in the fresh air.
Yeah. You don't have to be really good at it to reap the benefits, right?
I wish I had passion, or I wish I had your talent, or I wish, but you don't know sometimes what you're really, really good at until you try lots of different.
Totally, yeah. So stay open and try everything at least once.
At least once.
If it's good, go back for more.
But like, it's another thing that people would probably often say to me was, I'd love to be able to paint the way you do. And I'd say it's available to everybody if you commit the time to doing it. Like, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours painting under my belt to create, you know, to get to the point where I'm at now, where I'm creating the paintings that I'm creating now, and people will look at them and go that they're, you know, that they're really good, you know,
they're amazing,
you know, and people will go, I'd love to be able to paint that way. But I have committed so much time to making, you know, to improving and getting better. So it's there for people if you wish. You know, you obviously need a degree of talent in some aspect, but the more you do something, the better you get at it, and the more you.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, I often say to people, practice, as they say. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm not where I want to be yet either, like, because I know.
No, well, if you'll be, it's a lifetime of growth, and you'll continue. And I'm so glad you refound that talent, because you are gifted and you are talented. Every time I see your artwork, it takes a lot, but I'm speechless. I'm like, each one I see, I find like I'm standing with my mouth open going, another. It's breathtaking. Well, so yes, Mr. Delaney, you are talented. So accept that.
I receive such beautiful messages from people, and it's an honor to be able to. You know, people will message me, you know, or ring me, or leave a comment to say, "Oh my word, you've taken me back to where I used to go in my childhood," and it's, you know, or it's just incredible. It's pinch me stuff like that.
And internationally, you have people. We'll talk a bit more about. Well, you know, you have your website.
Yeah. I went live with my website there. Only, I think it's about a month ago, like 3 or 4.
Wow, gosh!
It took a while to get there.
That's not. Yeah, you were too busy painting. Well done, congratulations. What's the name of that website? And I'll also put it in the link after anyway.
It's www.iandelaneyartist.com. So
awesome. And do you have an Instagram page? And I know you have a Facebook page.
I do, yeah. I'm Ian Delaney Irish Artist on Instagram, and Ian Delaney Irish Artist on Facebook as well.
Pretty easy to remember then.
Easy, yeah. So the Facebook page is probably the one that's I'm most active on, and that's usually where I'll post new work. But the Instagram I'd be active on as well. You'll see quite a lot of my paintings on Instagram as well. So yeah. And social media has been huge, and it's been great to get my paintings more visible to a lot more people and a larger audience. So for that, I'm incredibly grateful for as well.
Absolutely. So you have a global following. Okay?
There's quite a lot of people that would message me and comment, like, so again, and people from all over the world, and that again is an incredible honor, like that you know, people are staying in touch with me and following my work, and it's great. I got people can't wait to see your next one, and it's
Do you get commissioned to do, like, do people send you photos?
Yeah, I would.
And say,
I
look,
quite a lot. I probably half my painting year is probably taken up with commissions, and the other half are painting. Then places that I have in mind, or places that I want to paint. I can only paint, I would say, maybe about 2 paintings before I instantly get drawn back to wanting to paint the sea again. There's just something. I love painting waves, and I love painting the sea, and I love painting the coast. So if I go off to paint, and sometimes people will ask me to paint different things, but I find after about 2 or 3 paintings at the most, it's like, I need to paint the sea again.
You must have been a fisherman in your last life.
I'm growing a fisherman's beard now, so that's what it is.
There's a fisherman in there somewhere in you. Yeah. And how do you? Oh, well, two things. You must have loved. Now I know you're back to work. You had mentioned to me earlier. You must have loved this time at home then.
Oh yes, I did. Yeah, I managed a security firm, and it's a really good job, and I've been in it for many years, and they're very good to me. But it is obviously I don't paint full time. I paint part time and fit it around. So for the last 5 weeks, it was incredible to be able to get so much time to paint, which I don't normally get. So it was in a little piece of heaven, all right, to say the least.
Yeah. And do you have set hours? I'm just thinking things off my head that like I told you, I'm really nosy. But do you have? You said you love painting first thing in the morning. So do you have your work and just say, okay, these are my hours, I'm painting now? Or do you wait till it comes to you and then you go and do the art, your work?
I will definitely work with how I feel, So I'll definitely paint to how I feel. And there's times when I'm really looking forward to, to painting, and I'll sit down at the artboard and it just won't work. And there are times when every paint stroke that you do can be a disaster, and it can, in some ways it can be very frustrating like that. And there are other times where everything you touch just turns to gold, and it is just like when you're in that flow. And I'm more often than not, over the last 2 years, I'm in that flow state more so than not.
Wow!
But it's just, it's magic. But the time just disappears when you're painting as well, because in the blink of an eye, 3 or 4 hours can be gone, and you don't even feel it. It's just, it's actually crazy how immersed you can sometimes get in it. But I would never paint to set hours, but I would definitely early mornings, first thing in the mornings, I love.
Gosh, it's like a meditative practice, And tell me, are there significant, and I know it's a pretty obvious question, but I'd like to hear what you have to say. You're like, oh no, what you gonna ask now? But
I'm ready.
Those nerves. What would you say that finding this passion again and practicing or painting as well, as much as you do, has done for your well-being, your mental and emotional health? See, it wasn't a bit difficult question, was it?
It has been incredible, because it is without doubt brought me joy, and it has brought me for fulfillment that I didn't think was genuinely possible. And the funny thing, and I should actually say as well, that when I painted in my younger days, all my paintings were a kind of a black and white, brown, like a sepia color. There was no color in my paintings at all. Like I used to just paint a very burnt sienna brown type of painting. And when I returned in 2011, I literally exploded into color, and it was just like, I think it was a reflection, and people say that art comes from inside you. I think from the teenager that I was, and that time frame, that was obviously my state of mind and my personality at that time. You know, since, you know, being married and having kids and the joy that was in my life, my painting just exploded into color, and I've never looked back since. But it's an incredible thing to do what you love, but it's also incredible that people want to have one of my paintings hanging on their wall in their home, and that is an incredible honor, and it even makes it even more fulfilling as well. So
so fulfilling. Must be so fulfilling.
Yeah, it is.
Makes,
and you know, I often think, wow, is this going to be my legacy that I leave behind alongside my children? Will be hundreds of paintings that I've done, like, you know.
Absolutely. Do you ever have an exhibition?
I did, and it was I exhibited twice on the railings in Stephen's Green, and at that point I still hadn't fully comfortably, you know, felt that artist title sitting on my shoulder, and that all changed. I had my first solo exhibition in 2018, in March 2018. I had my first solo exhibition, and it was a pretty profound moment to see all my paintings on the wall surrounding me, and it almost felt like I'd arrived, because it was the first time that I could actually say to myself, I feel like an artist. Like, I feel like I can actually comfortably call myself an artist, because up until then I had all those silly notions that sometimes people have about, like, well, you haven't gone to college and you haven't studied art and all those kind of things, so you can't be an artist. Like, you're a manager of a security firm, you're who are you kidding, all those things that sometimes go through your head. But when I had that solo art exhibition, that was, I think from that moment on, I accepted it comfortably on my shoulders. I am an artist.
I love to hear that. And it just shows you another thing of, like, listening to that negative self-talk could completely sabotage someone's dreams and passions and talent, that we need to be very, very aware of what we're saying to ourselves. And thankfully you have your wife there who could knock some sense into you as well.
She has been, you know, a foundation pillar in my art journey, I have to say.
That's wonderful, because if, you know, say you were on your own and you listen to that voice, you know, it's almost criminal not to share such a wonderful talent.
And I listened to that voice in my teenage years, and that's probably what led me to stop. But luckily I found it again. So for anybody out there that has had those passions in the past, you know, things that they love to do in the past, and they just put them down and life gets in the way, pick them back up again. Try and find it again, because it will bring you untold joy to find those things that you love. Like,
and purpose. It's like finding your purpose, and not to listen to others. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or says. This is about you and your gift and what you have to bring, and no one else can completely understand that. So I'd say don't listen to anybody, unless of course it's a wife like Amanda who can push you in the right direction. Surround yourself by those who lift you up, and don't listen to any negative voice that will sabotage any dreams. Because we all have that at some point, certainly as well, more when we're younger. I think I don't know, but I think maybe as we get older, that diminishes. You know, I think for a lot of people, thankfully,
more sure than ourselves, but it is hugely important to surround yourself with cheerleaders and surround yourself with encouragers and people that are going to actually say you can do it, and without a doubt, like, because it's immensely important when you're, you know, especially for, you know, in what I'm doing in creative, because it's so personal, you know, and I'm like, I was always a pretty confident person socially, and being able to chat to people and all that kind of stuff, you know, and being put into different environments I was fine with. But when it came to my painting, I was just incredibly shy and incredibly it was incredibly personal to me. So it wouldn't take much, you know, at that beginning, when you have that first you know, ember of a dream, for somebody to snatch it away with just one or two, you know, ill-timed or you know, mean comments. Like, so you've
or, you know, that could be that person on a bad day,
Yeah,
and a person who's actually envious of what you're doing,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
You don't know.
So
You gotta,
listen to what's in here and follow your gut and your dream.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Oh, wonderful. So,
So
I
answer all your
love
questions.
these stories. It's like Ian and his love story for art. I'm going to check my Facebook page and just see if there's anything. Otherwise, I'm sure people can follow back and send in a
Yeah,
message.
leave comments.
However, Ian, and I'm going, in the meantime, while I'm looking here, yeah, we'll just remind of where, if anybody has any commissions, they can contact you. Where is best? On Facebook?
Yeah, you can contact me on Facebook. As I said, Ian Delaney, Irish Artist, is my Facebook page. Or I have, like, I'm probably, a lot of people might email as well. So it's Ian Delaney Artist at gmail.com. So yeah, feel free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we have a lovely lady here, Donatella, says hi.
Hi, Donatella.
Yeah. And somebody says we don't look too bad on camera.
That's probably my wife.
Laura. That's Laura. I'm sure that's when you're in the flow, Ian. Yeah, that's from Donatella. Okay, and Alan Brennan, he loves the beard. Ian, it really suits you. Is it painted on?
All I need now is a curled mustache and a beret, and the transformation will be complete.
There you go. We won't know who you are. Yeah. Oh, it's been absolute pleasure and delight talking to you, Ian. And
yeah.
I constantly keep updated with your art, and I will spread the word. As you know, I want to use one of your paintings as my cover picture on Facebook.
Wow. Yeah, I'd be honored. Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I can't get the right size. But maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because to be able to look at your art every day, it would be so good for the soul.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So if you ever want to come down to Galway, I'm right by the sea. You're very welcome to come and enjoy and pick up when we're allowed to travel. That is.
Yeah. Definitely.
Pick up on some of the lovely landscapes.
Yeah.
Well, Sue, thanks for sharing your time.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Sue. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to. Okay, we can say goodbye to everyone.